poll shows that the country remains undivided. Remains divided over 45's impeachment trial. Majorities of American voters believe that 45 abused his power and obstructed Congress in the Ukraine scandal, but the public remains split, largely among party lines, over whether those actions justify his removal from office, which it does. Those are the findings of a new national NBC News Wall Street Journal poll released as the U.S. Senate continues its impeachment trial of 45. With Republicans on the verge of acquitting the squatter in the Republican-controlled chamber after voting against allowing witnesses, the survey also finds that 45 trailing the major Democratic presidential candidates in hypothetical matchups for the general election, and it shows how stable the squatter standing has been during his entire impeachment episode. We've been through an impeachment inquiry in the House, a trial in the Senate, and America's attitudes about 45 have hardly budged, said Democratic pollster Jeff Horwitz of Hart Research Associates, who conducted the survey. With Republican posters at Public Opinion Strategies. It's same as it always has been, added Democratic pollster Peter Hart. In the poll, 46% of registered voters say that 45 should be removed from office as a result of the impeachment trial, versus 49 who say he should remain, essentially unchanged from the 48% to 48% split in December. Democratic voters overwhelmingly support 45's removal from office, which is at 84%, while Republicans overwhelmingly oppose it, 91%, and independents are divided, with 45% backing removal and 50% opposing it. Necessarily justified and warranted were some of the top Democratic answers when respondents were asked to which one word best describes how they feel about 45's impeachment trial. The Republicans' responses were ridiculous, wasteful, and sham. Still, a majority of voters, 52%, say they believe 45 abused the power of office by asking foreign government to investigate a political opponent to influence the upcoming election, compared with 41% who disagree. And another majority of voters, 53%, say that they believe the squatter obstructed Congress by not cooperating with the impeachment investigation and by directing government employees not to comply with subpoenas. 37% say he did not obstruct Congress, which he technically did. Yet once again, there's still a partisan split to these numbers, with 9 and 10 Democrats believing 45 abused his power and obstructed Congress, versus 70 to 80% of the Republicans disagreeing. Public opinion looks like it did from the start. It was a hung jury then, and it is a hung jury now, said Horwitz, the Democratic pollster. 39% of voters say the U.S. Senate has had enough information needed to make a decision about 45 seats. 37% said they needed to hear from additional witnesses to reach a decision, and 22% said they didn't know enough to say. Looking ahead to the 2020 general election that's still more than 270 days away, the NBC Wall Street Journal poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden leading Trump nationally by 6 points among registered voters, 50% to 44%, though that's down from Biden's 9-point advantage in October. Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont, is ahead of 45 by 4 points, 49% to 45, a drop from Sanders' 7-point lead in July. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat from Massachusetts, holds a 3-point advantage over 45, 48 to 45%, and former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg leads 45 by 1 point, 46 to 45. The margin of error in the poll is a plus-minus 3.1 percentage points. When the poll narrows the matchup to include only respondents from 11 battleground states, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, Biden's lead over 45 is 5 points, 49% to 44. Sanders' advantage in those 3 states is 3 points, 49 to 46, and Warren and Buttigieg hold 1 point leads to Trump to 45, 49%, Warren 48%, 45, 47%, and Buttigieg 46%. When it comes to the battle for control of Congress in 2020, Democrats only enjoy a 6-point advantage in the poll, with 49% of voters preferring a Democratic-controlled Congress and 43% wanting Republicans in charge. Democrats right now hold a 7-point lead since December. Also, the poll, 46% of voters approve of 45's job performance, which I don't, which is consistent with the other NBC Wall Street Journal polls over the past year and a half. But other numbers in the survey is a strong job approval, which technically doesn't technically have a strong job approval anyway, taken up to its all-time high. His positive rating jumping to its highest level since after his inauguration. prompts for Republican pollster Bill McInturff of Public Opinion Strategies to call his 45's best NBC Wall Street Journal poll in 3 years. Still, 49% of all voters say they are very uncomfortable about 45 when it comes to his re-election bid in 2020. That's compared with 43% who are very uncomfortable with Sanders, and 36% with Warren, and 35% with Biden. Finally, the NBC Wall Street Journal poll finds differing public attitudes about capitalism and socialism, especially with Sanders running for president in 2020 as a Democratic socialist. 52% of all voters say they have a positive view of capitalism versus 18% of who have a negative opinion on it. The numbers are worst for socialism, with 53% having a negative view and 19% having a positive one. Yet there is a striking difference by party and age. Democratic primary voters have a net positive impression of socialism, 40% positive and 23% negative, and Democratic voters between the ages of 18 and 34 view it even more favorably, 51 to 14%, but key general election groups like independents, negative 45 net rating. Suburban voters and swing state voters have a much more negative impression on socialism. The NBC News Wall Street Journal poll was conducted between the week of January 26th to the 29th. Out of 1,000 registered voters, more than half of whom were reached by cell phone. It has an overall margin of error of plus minus 3.1 percentage points.